Section 2 of Gleanings in Buddha Fields. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Tom Penn. Gleanings in Buddha Fields by Lafcadio Hearn. Chapter 2. Out of the Street. Part 1. These, said Manyuman, putting on the table a roll of wonderfully written Japanese manuscript, are vulgar songs. If they are to be spoken of in some honorable book, perhaps it will be good to say that they are vulgar, so that Western people may not be deceived. Next to my house there is a vacant lot, where washermen, Sintakuya, work in the ancient manner, singing as they work, and whipping the wet garments upon big flat stones. Every morning at daybreak their singing wakens me, and I like to listen to it, though I cannot often catch the words. It is full of long, queer, plaintive modulations. Yesterday the apprentice, a lad of 15, and the master of the washermen were singing alternately, as if answering each other. The contrast between the tones of the man, sonorous as if boomed through a conch, and the clarion alto of the boy, being very pleasant to hear. Whereupon I called Manyuman and asked him what the singing was about. The song of the boy, he said, is an old song. Things never changed since the time of the gods. The flowing of water, the way of love. I heard it often when I was myself a boy. And the other song? The other song is probably new. 3 years thought of her, 5 years sought for her, only for one night held her in my arms. A very foolish song. I don't know, I said. There are famous Western romances containing nothing wiser. And what is the rest of the song? There is no more. That is the whole of the song. If it be honorably desired, I can write down the songs of the washermen, and the songs which are sung in the street by the smiths and the carpenters, and the bamboo weavers and the rice cleaners, but they are all nearly the same. Thus came it to pass that Manyuman made for me a collection of vulgar songs. By vulgar, Manyuman meant written in the speech of the common people. He is himself an adept at classical verse, and despises the Hayariyuta, or ditties of the day. It requires something very delicate to please him, and what pleases him I am not qualified to write about, for one must be a very good Japanese scholar to meddle with the superior varieties of Japanese poetry. If you care to know how difficult the subject is, just study the chapter on prosody in Aston's Grammar of the Japanese Written Language, or the introduction to Professor Chamberlain's Classical Poetry of the Japanese. Her poetry is the one original art which Japan has certainly not borrowed either from China or from any other country, and its most refined charm is the essence, irreproducible, of the very flower of the language itself. Hence the difficulty of representing even partially, in any Western tongue, its subtler delicacies of sentiment, allusion, and color. But to understand the compositions of the people, no scholarship is needed. They are characterized by the greatest possible simplicity, directness, and sincerity. The real art of them, in short, is their absolute artlessness. That was why I wanted them. Springing straight from the heart of the eternal youth of the race, these little gushes of song, like the untaught poetry of every people, utter what belongs to all human experience rather than to the limited life of a class or a time, and even in their melodies still resound the fresh and powerful pulsings of their primal source. Manyuman had written down 47 songs, and with his help I made free renderings of the best. They were very brief, varying from 17 to 31 syllables in length. Nearly all Japanese poetical metre consists of simple alterations of lines of 5 and 7 syllables. The frequent exceptions which popular songs offer to this rule being merely irregularities such as the singer can smooth over either by slurring or by prolonging certain vowel sounds. Most of the songs which Manyuman had collected were of 26 syllables only, being composed of 3 successive lines of 7 syllables each, followed by one of 5, thus: Kamyo konokata, kawaranu mono wa, Mitsu no Nagaroto, Koi no Michi. Among various deviations from this construction I found 77775 and 57775 and 7575 and 575, but the classical 5-line form, tanka, represented by 57577, was entirely absent. Terms indicating gender were likewise absent. Even the expressions corresponding to I and you were seldom used, and the word signifying beloved applying equally to either sex. Only by the conventional value of some comparison, the use of a particular emotional tone, or the mention of some detail of costume was the sex of the speaker suggested, as in this verse: I am the water weed drifting, finding no place of attachment. Where, I wonder, and when shall my flower begin to bloom? Evidently the speaker is a girl who wishes for a lover. The same simple utterance by masculine lips would sound, in Japanese ears, much as would sound in English ears a man's comparison of himself to a violet or to a rose. For the like reason, one knows that in the following song the speaker is not a woman. Flowers in both my hands, flowers of plum and cherry. Which will be, I wonder, the flower to give me fruit? Womanly charm is compared to the cherry flower, and also to the plum flower. But the quality symbolized by the plum flower is moral always, rather than physical. The verse represents a man strongly attracted by two girls, one perhaps a dancer, very fair to look upon, the other beautiful in character. Which shall he choose to be his companion for life? One more example. Too long, with pen in hand, idling, fearing, and doubting, I cast my silver pen for the test of the tatamizan. Here we know from the mention of the hairpin that the speaker is a woman, and we can also suppose that she is a geisha. The sort of divination called tatamizan being especially popular with dancing girls. The rush covering the floor mats, tatami, woven over a frame of thin strings, shows on its upper surface a regular series of lines about 3/4 of an inch apart. The girl throws her pin upon a mat and then counts the lines it touches. According to their number she deems herself lucky or unlucky. Sometimes a little pipe, geisha's pipes are usually of silver, is used instead of the hairpin. The theme of all these songs was love, as indeed it is of the vast majority of the Japanese chansons de ruse et de bois, even songs about celebrated places usually containing some amatory suggestion. I noticed that almost every simple phase of the emotion, from its earliest budding to its uttermost ripening, was represented in the collection, and I therefore tried to arrange the pieces according to the natural passional sequence. The result had some dramatic suggestiveness. Part 2. The songs really form 3 distinct groups, each corresponding to a particular period of that emotional experience which is the subject of all. In the first group of 7, the surprise and pain and weakness of passion find utterance, beginning with a plaintive cry of reproach and closing with a whisper of trust. 1. You by all others disliked, oh, why must my heart thus like you? 2. This pain which I cannot speak of to anyone in the world. Tell me who has made it. Whose do you think the fault? 3. Will it be night forever? I lose my way in the darkness. Who goes by the path of love must always go astray. 4. Even the brightest lamp, even the light electric, cannot lighten at all the dusk of the way of love. 5. Always, the more I love, the more it is hard to say so. Oh, how happy I were should the loved one say it first. 6. Such a little word, only to say, I love you. Why, oh why do I find it hard to say like this? 7. Clicked to, the locks of our hearts, let the keys remain in our bosoms. After which mutual confidence the illusion naturally deepens, suffering yields to a joy that cannot disguise itself, and the keys of the heart are thrown away. This is the second stage. 1. The person who said before, I hate my life since I saw you, now after union prays to live for 1,000 years. 2. You and I together, lilies that grow in a valley. This is our blossoming time, but nobody knows the fact. 3. Receiving from his hand the cup of the wine of greeting, even before I drink, I feel that my face grows red. 4. I cannot hide in my heart the happy knowledge that fills it. Asking each not to tell, I spread the news all round. 5. All crows alike are black, everywhere under heaven. The person that others like, why should not I like too? 6. Going to see the beloved, 1,000 ri are as 1 ri. Returning without having seen, 1 ri is 1,000 ri. Footnote: 1 ri is equal to about 2½ English miles. End of note. 7. Going to see the beloved, even the water of rice fields ever becomes, as I drink, nectar of gods to the taste. 8. You till 100 years, I until 99. Together we still shall be in the time when the hair turns white. 9. Seeing the face, at once the folly I wanted to utter, all melts out of my thought, and somehow the tears come first. 10. Crying for joy made wet my sleeve that dries too quickly. 'Tis not the same with the heart that cannot dry so soon. 11. To heaven with all my soul I prayed to prevent your going. Already, to keep you with me, answers the blessed rain. So passes the period of illusion. The rest is doubt and pain, only the love remains to challenge even death. 1. Parted from you, my beloved, I go alone to the pine field. There is dew of night on the leaves. There is also dew of tears. 2. Even to see the birds flying freely above me only deepens my sorrow, makes me thoughtful the more. 3. Coming or coming not? Far down the river gazing, only yomogi shadows astir in the bed of the stream. 4. Letters come by the post. Photographs give me the shadow. Only one thing remains which I cannot hope to gain. 5. If I may not see the face, but only look at the letter, then it were better far only in dreams to see. 6. Though his body were broken to pieces, though his bones on the shore were bleaching, I would find my way to rejoin him after gathering up the bones. Part 3. Thus was it that these little songs, composed in different generations and in different parts of Japan by various persons, seemed to shape themselves for me into the ghost of a romance, into the shadow of a story needing no name of time or place or person, because eternally the same in all times and places. Manyemon asked which of the songs I liked best, and I turned over his manuscript again to see if I can make a choice. Without, in the bright spring air, the washers are working, and I hear the heavy pom-pom of the beating of wet robes, regular as the beating of a heart. Suddenly, as I muse, the voice of the boy soars up in one long, clear, shrill, splendid rocket tone, and breaks, and softly trembles down in coruscations of fractional notes, singing the song that Manyemon remembers hearing when he himself was a boy. Things never changed since the time of the gods, the flowing of water, the way of love. I think that is the best, I said. It is the soul of all the rest. In no nusibito koi no uta, interpretively murmurs Manyemon. Even as out of poverty comes the thief, so out of love the song. End of section 2.